Engaging from a place of ego leads to actions that are reactive rather than conscious. If you take just one step back, you become the observer. One step forward, and you're caught up again in the illusion, or Maya. Even the mere thought of stepping back is a blessing, a form of grace. Yet, it's rare. Many people go through life without ever questioning their existence. From the moment we start enjoying life's sensory pleasures, we continue in this cycle, lifetime after lifetime, often without pause or reflection. Think about how many people truly question their existence. Very few. Suffering may momentarily shake a person's consciousness, but more often than not, they revert to their old patterns once the discomfort passes. This lack of lasting change underscores why those who truly transform often credit something beyond themselves, for the ego alone cannot bring about real change. At the level of the ego, change is often superficial, like shifting interests from wanting a bicycle to desiring a car, or from seeking personal gain to helping others. However, the action is still driven by the ego mind, which traps us in the cycle of desire and doership. This cycle of samsara, the endless loop of birth, death, and rebirth, doesn't end easily. Some texts may suggest that after many lifetimes, everyone will eventually attain liberation, but such ideas might be misleading. But this cycle doesn't end for everyone one day. It only ends for those who decide to end it right now. Some people express interest in liberation, but find themselves continually drawn back into worldly desires. What is it that prevents them from staying on the path of liberation? It is their own interest, nothing more. We often blame external circumstances, but it's our own mind that tricks us into believing that certain things are important, keeping us engaged in the cycle. To break free, you must detach. Let life continue as it is, but begin to observe it from a distance. Even if you've started this drama of life and develop interests in many things, now is the time to watch it all as a detached observer. Notice what your body does, how it interacts with others, even the thoughts that come to you. Don't judge, don't comment, just observe. This act of observation creates distance between you and the mind, between you and the ego, between you and the individual self. As you begin to feel this gap, you'll start to realize that you are the void, the pure awareness that is simply witnessing everything. This realization will inevitably lead to a transformation, collapsing the structure of the ego and the mind, which were never built on a solid foundation. This collapse happens because the structure was always flimsy, propped up by the false belief that you were doing, desiring, and accomplishing, and that these actions had real value. Once you see through this game, even the greatest accolades will lose their allure. Imagine receiving a prestigious award, yet knowing deep down that it's meaningless, just another trophy in the dream world of the ego. What matters is understanding this truth while you're still alive in this body. The world may follow its norms, indulging in desires and ambitions, but you have the choice to step out of the crowd, to not be swept away by the illusions that everyone else seems to accept as reality. The world is full of dream people living dream lives. If you wish to awaken, you must do so without waiting for others. In the same way that you wouldn't wait for others to awaken in a nighttime dream, you shouldn't wait for others to awaken in this life. If you're held back by your attachments to family, friends, or societal expectations, know that it's not them holding you back. It's your own desires and attachments. People often fall back into old patterns even after experiencing moments of silence or meditation. This is because the mind, which is restless by nature, constantly seeks to reassert control. There are many meditative techniques out there, but most are limited in their effectiveness. They often keep you entrenched in the subject-object relationship, where the mind remains the doer, meditating on an object. True freedom only comes when the subject, the ego, disappears. Bhagavan's teachings go straight to the heart of the issue, attacking the real culprit, the ego itself. While many spiritual practices may help you accumulate experiences, these experiences can become another form of bondage. Bhagavan urges you to move beyond experiences, to transcend the subject-object duality entirely. You must inquire deeply into who you are, beyond this body-mind complex. Understand that the mind was created to keep you engaged in samsara, and to be free, you must tame it. But taming the mind doesn't mean giving it more work. It means giving it no work at all. A restful mind is no mind, a state of pure awareness or emptiness. The mind's restlessness keeps you trapped in an endless loop of thoughts, desires, and actions, which never truly satisfy. Even in old age, people often remain captivated by the idea of visiting new places, experiencing new things, but this never-ending pursuit is just another trick of the mind. The world is obsessed with food, for example. People live to eat rather than eat to live, constantly seeking pleasure through the senses. When you stop giving work to the mind, it becomes obsolete. Psychological work, like judging, labeling, or creating stories about people and situations, only strengthens mental impressions, deepening your bondage. You've created millions of these impressions, but you can start undoing them by ceasing to engage with the mind and becoming a neutral observer. As you do this, the mind may resist, showing you the many things you've fed it over the years. But if you persist, something beautiful happens. A peace begins to arise from within. The more you stay as an observer, the more this peace grows, and the less you care about the things that once captivated you. Eventually you'll find that you're no longer interested in anything external because you've become the very source of happiness that you were seeking in the world. You'll still carry out your daily activities, but without the ego-driven sense of doership. Life happens through you rather than by you, and nothing affects you as it once did. If your interest is divided between worldly desires and liberation, progress will be slow. Most of us start at a negative level, burdened by countless mental impressions from this and possibly previous lives. The key is to stop accumulating new impressions and to stay focused on the observer within. Everyone has this observer, this pure self within them. It's impartial, neutral, and beyond all concepts and intellectual understanding. As you connect with this observer, you become your own authority. You no longer need external validation or guidance. You simply observe and act from a place of pure awareness. The beauty of this state is that it brings a profound sense of bliss. You no longer care about acceptance or external validation because you're anchored in your true self. The world's opinions, judgments, and values lose their grip on you. You become like Bhagavan, who sat in pure awareness, indifferent to the opinions and egos of those around him. His presence alone radiated that awareness, awakening others by merely being. To experience this freedom, you must stop engaging with the mind's endless games and become the observer. This is not a concept to be understood intellectually, but a state to be realized through direct experience. When you rest in the observer, you naturally detach from the mind's stories, judgments, and desires. The mind becomes quiet and you experience the truth of who you are, pure awareness, beyond all duality. In this state, you're no longer a puppet of the mind. You're free, truly free, and this freedom is your natural state. But to realize it, you must be willing to let go of everything that you've identified with: the body, the mind, the ego. Only then can you rest in the bliss of your true self, untouched by the world's illusions.